come on in, take a seat. Why don't you grab a pen and paper?
Sure.
Okay. And what I'm gonna have you do is write a letter to your son that you're gonna give to him when he turns 18. I want you to write a letter to your daughter
Okay.
for when she turns 18.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, my son's only 4 years old, so this will be interesting.
Dear Olivia,
Dear Mason,
You won't read this letter for 6 years, and a lot could change between now and then.
Hopefully, you've learned by now that it's important to put on clothes before you go outside.
maybe you've learned that vegetables are your friends.
I sincerely hope that all of the dabbing has finally stopped.
And also that it's pronounced mac and cheese, not monkey cheese. Mac and cheese.
You dream of becoming a famous singer, so thank you in advance for all the free concert tickets.
Is it still your goal to be a professional YouTuber?
I know you were hoping to become a giraffe when you grew up, but hopefully you have some even better career options now.
It hasn't always been easy. I sat on a piece of gum you left on a chair yesterday and didn't find out until after work.
The dishes really do go in the dishwasher. It's not like a metaphor or something.
Remember when you cut your own hair? And then you tried to fix it?
Basically, I didn't sleep for 3 years straight.
But I can tell you this. Despite all the struggles, all the tears, it was completely worth it. And I would do it again, 100 times over for you.
You are a gift and a blessing. You've changed my life.
You are beautiful and strong.
You have so much energy in life, and I can already see how incredibly smart and fearless you are.
More than anything, I want you to know that I love you.
I'm here for you, whatever you need.
You have made me so proud.
And I am excited to see how God uses your life.
You're ready to take on the world. With all my heart.
Love always, Dad.
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 Aloha and welcome to Seymour Heights Christian Church online worship experience. We are extremely excited that you chose to join us this morning. For those of you that have been doing this for some time, you probably have a rhythm already established. Like you've probably already checked in on Facebook and used the hashtag SHCC Stay Connected. If not, you could go ahead and do that right now. You also probably already have your communion elements prepared for later on in the service. And again, if not, you could go ahead and do that right now. You'll find on the Seymour Heights Christian Church app fill-in-the-blank sermon notes that you can use to follow along with Harold's message this morning. Again, we thank you for joining us for worship. God bless you.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God.
All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, the darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God.
All my life you have been faithful.
every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God.
Happy Father's Day weekend. If you look up the verb drive in the dictionary, you'll find it says to guide, control, or direct. When you drive a car, you guide, control, and direct it down a road. When you drive a nail, you guide, control, and direct it into a piece of wood or drywall or whatever. When you drive a golf ball, you guide, control, and direct the golf ball down the fairway. Or let's clarify, in my case, you attempt to guide and control the ball down the fairway. You know, all of us are driven by something. Some people are driven by material possessions. Some people are driven by fear or guilt. Some people are driven by anger or resentment. And some people, they're driven by success or approval. Their goal is still to try to gain their parents' or spouses' or boss' approval. There are many options when it comes to driving, guiding, controlling our lives. This summer, Andrew Rupp, our Connections pastor, is reading and discussing a book with Elijah, our summer intern, and he asked me to join them. And we're reading a book entitled The Passion Generation. And although we're only a few chapters in, the author, Grant Skeldon, argues that these three key words, passion, purpose, and provision, are critical for all generations, but each generation does not view them in the same order. For example, baby boomers, those born between 1946 and 1964, in fact, now the oldest boomers are 74 years old, and the youngest are basically my age, 56. Now, just let me acknowledge here that I'm a young-looking baby boomer, right? Well, for boomers, in general terms, the concepts go like this in those three words: provision first, purpose, and then passion. In other words, those of us who are older get jobs, made a living, provision, and then later in life started asking ourselves, what do I really want to do if I could do anything? With the passion and purpose questions. For the millennial generation, those born between 1980 and 1995, and even Generation Z between 1996 and 2010, the questions are a little different order. Passion, then purpose, and provision. What I mean is they start first with passion questions like, what do I want to do in life? How can I make a difference? Then they think later about necessarily purpose and provision of how am I going to make a living? Now, passion questions are great and needed questions, no matter our age or our generation. And we all ask them, I think, in different ways. What do we want our lives to be about? What adjectives would best describe us? What do we value most? What are our priorities? When our life is summed up one day, what would we like that sentence to say? This is week 4 of our Reset series, reminding us that after the disruption of our lives for the past 3 months, we don't have to go back to life as usual. Instead of just hitting the play button after months of the pause button, we have an opportunity to hit the reset button and change things. And so far in this series, we've talked about resetting our day, our pace, our finances. And on this Father's Day weekend, we highlight the fact that we can reset our priorities. I hope we realize that when all is said and done, we're going to leave basically 4 things behind when we're gone. We'll leave memories. These are the thoughts that others have about us. That's why at funerals, people get together and talk. And what do? They tell stories. They remember when the deceased did this or did that. And some memories bring tears and others laughter. We also leave behind souvenirs and trophies. These are kind of proofs of our existence. Letters, postcards, pictures, mementos. They're the records of our achievements. Maybe it's a high school or college diploma or some award or certificate or medal. And many times they get packed in a box and stored away to collect dust, but we leave them behind anyway. I have my souvenir trophy box right here. This is actually an index box from, I believe, 6th grade, so right around 1974. And in my memento box, I have a piece of a basketball net from our 7th grade North Putman victory over the Greencastle Tiger Cubs. And so this is part of the net we all got to cut down. That's been in my box. I also have in here ticket stubs. I have to put my glasses on to be able to read them now, but I have ticket stubs. And I have one here from my first Major League Baseball game, July 11th, 1975. Cincinnati versus New York, a doubleheader. I still remember going and seeing my first Major League ball game, and I was so enthralled by it all. Seeing Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan and Pete Rose and all the big red machine. That's one of my souvenirs. My first really rock and roll concert, Billy Joel, 1979. I always liked Billy Joel. And here's a ticket for my high school musical, my senior year, The Music Man, where I played Professor Harold Hill. Believe me, we've got trouble right here in River City. A medal from, I was in the high school choir, and we won first place at an Indiana Music Festival. And also I have a picture in here. It's Missy and I at the 1984 Junior Senior Banquet at Johnson Bible College. And so there's little things that I put in my box that are my souvenirs, my little trinkets, my mementos. And we all leave behind a few souvenirs. Or maybe the stuff we leave behind that we accumulate is cars and a house and cash. But we also leave a legacy. Now, eventually, memories will fade, and souvenirs and trophies will be lost or sold at garage sales, and only our legacy will remain. A legacy is something handed down from one generation to the next. Sure, it can include money and property, but it's not restricted to that at all. It includes traits, habits, talents, attitudes, and even our priorities. I like Paul Meyer's definition of legacy. He says, everything you are and possess today, whether good or bad, is your legacy. Now, there's an example in God's Word of a person whose life and legacy was summed up basically in one sentence. We find it in the Old Testament book of Joshua. And I'd like for you to turn there with me or open up your electronic devices to the very end of the book of Joshua, chapter 24. And here we find Joshua at the end of his life. He's 110 years old. He's well qualified to deliver a final speech to God's people and make an appeal for them to prioritize their lives. Joshua knew that as he addressed God's people, they did not all display the same priorities with their faith and service to God. He understood that some of the people were strong in their faith. They were sold out to God. Some were sold out to contemporary culture. And there was a large group of people kind of caught in the middle. They could go either way. Joshua addresses all the people in chapter 24, verses 14 through 15, and here's what he says. Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshiped beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Joshua challenges the people of Israel to make a decision about what their lives are going to be about. In other words, decide what is important, what's going to drive your life, what's at the top of your priority list. And then he reminds the people of his priorities. He basically challenges everyone to reset their priorities. Folks, we have the opportunity today for all of us, not just fathers, to reset our priorities. But how do we do it? Let me give you these suggestions. Leave your family a home, not just a house. Now, here's the irony in all of this. Some of us are so busy making a living, working overtime, saving for the kids' college fund, putting extra bucks away, that we never really enjoy a life. We may have a big house, but we don't have a home where we spend time with each other and eat together and play games together and read stories together. And we've lost our perspective and sacrificed our relationship with our family, the very people we're trying to provide for. Hopefully, over the last couple of months, you've taken advantage of the extra time you've had to just enjoy time with your family. Psalm 127:1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain." Please don't get so caught up in the trappings of a house that you never turn it into a home where love is expressed and your priorities are lived out. Also, leave your family a connection to Christ, not just cash. Jesus says in Matthew 16:26, "What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul?" Jesus is basically saying it takes more than a paycheck to bring real meaning to life. Cash is nice, but a commitment to Christ is far superior. Remember that as you go throughout life. Leave your children, grandchildren, a vibrant, growing relationship with Christ that they know is real. And parents, grandparents, we're walking object lessons to our children of who God is. Our children are watching us. One of the greatest things we can pass on to our children is modeling the truth of God's Word. Few things will damage our children more than observing us not practicing what we preach. So you tell your kids not to bring their cell phones to the table, but yet you answer yours. What's that tell them? What's that teach them? Parents, be the example of Christ's love to others. Our children need to see, first of all, that God is important in our lives, that He's more important than our job, that He's more important than golf or sports or TV or shopping or even a family vacation. We also are to leave our family a testimony, not just a tombstone. In 1 John chapter 5, verses 11 and 12, John says, "And this is the testimony. God has given us eternal life, and this life is in His Son. Whoever has the Son has life. Whoever does not have the Son of God does not have life." I heard a black preacher once in delivering a message to college students. Here's what he said. He said, "Children, you're going to die. One day they will put your body in a box, drop you in a hole, cover you up with some dirt, and go back to the church and eat potato salad." He goes on to say, when you were born, you alone were crying and everyone else was happy. The important question I want to ask you is this: when you die, are you alone going to be happy, leaving everyone else crying? The answer depends on whether you live to get titles or you live to get testimonies. When they lay you in the grave, are people going to stand around reciting the fancy titles you earned, or are they going to stand around giving testimonies of the good things you did for them? Wow, what a message. Will we leave behind only an obituary telling people how important we were? Or will we leave crying people who give testimonies about how they've lost the best friend they ever had? Are you going to leave a tombstone or a testimony? Enjoying the memories, souvenirs, and trophies is, of course, not wrong, But our focus, our priority should always be on leaving a legacy that will continue for generations. And that might take us rearranging our priorities. It might take us regrouping to figure out where we're going, breaking cycles, to choose to leave a legacy that will still matter for generations to come. So what are your priorities today? You know, if we go back after the death of Joshua, just a few verses later, it's recorded in verse 31 of that same chapter 24. It says, Israel served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and of the elders who outlived him and who had experienced everything the Lord had done for Israel. Joshua established priorities that led to his legacy. His priority of serving God left a lasting impact on others. What are our priorities? What are the most important things in our lives? What are we passionate about? What's driving our lives? One day, our bones will go in a box or our ashes in an urn, but our influence will live on through our legacy. So fathers today, and all of us who are watching this, let's reset our priorities now so that we leave the kind of legacy that honors and glorifies Christ.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good.
Never gonna let me down. You're 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 never gonna let me down. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh,
One more time. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good.
Wow, that was a heavy message. We talked about legacy and death. And as we move into this time of communion, we're going to reflect on that a little bit more. Because in a way, communion is a reminder of Jesus' legacy. And it's certainly a reminder of his death. The bread is his body and the juice is his blood. So take this time to remember the greatest legacy that there has ever been, what Jesus did for you. Thank you guys so much for worshiping with us today. We'll see you guys next week.